Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we are diving deep. We're talking about a whole collection of theories. Theories that really challenge everything you think you know about history, control, and maybe reality itself. We're going to peel back the layers on some of the most fascinating and honestly, pretty unsettling ideas out there.
Let's kick things off with this quote right here. It's this really evocative idea that under the surface of all these organizations we know, there's a truly secret inner society. Kind of like a hidden heart, right? This idea of a secret core. That's going to be our launch pad for this whole journey, taking us from secrets that have been proven all the way to the very edges of what you might believe.
So that really leads us to the big question, doesn't it? What secrets are hiding just under the surface of our reality? We're going to start by peeling back that very first layer, looking at secrets that, people used to call conspiracy theories, right up until they were proven to be historical fact.
Okay, so let's get into it. Our first layer, the surface, hidden histories. And look, we're not starting with wild speculation here, no way. This is about proven, covert operations, stuff we know about from declassified documents, things that have absolutely, without a doubt, shaped the world we live in today.
All right, first up, Operation Paperclip. And yeah, this was a real, confirmed, top-secret U.S. program. What was it for? To recruit German scientists right after World War II. And some of these scientists, well, let's just say they had some really disturbing ties to the Nazi regime. The name is actually super literal. Intelligence officers would literally put a paperclip on the files of the experts they wanted to snag. And as you can see, this was no small thing. They brought in 1,600 people, valued at what they called intellectual reparations of $10 billion. That's just incredible. And that secrecy, it didn't stop with scientists, not by a long shot. If you look at the declassified files from the JFK era, you see the CIA was completely obsessed with Cuba in the early 60s. This led to something called Operation Mongoose, which was a very real, very covert plan to get Fidel Castro out of power. They even set up a huge operations outpost in Miami called JM/Wave to run these missions, funding front groups to spread propaganda. It's just another perfect example of something that sounds like a crazy conspiracy theory until you find out it's all right there in the documents. It really shows you how far these agencies will go.
Okay, so we've seen some of the proven stuff on the surface. Now let's go a little deeper into what we're calling the shallows. We're moving away from specific historical plots and more into these broader ideas about the systems, the architectures of control that might be shaping our world.
So, have you ever heard of the extreme layer cake theory? It's this idea that all the competition you think you see between these giant megacorporations, well, what if it's just an illusion? What if it's all just a show designed to hide a single unified power structure at the top? Basically, the free market we see might just be a carefully staged play.
And the people who believe this theory, they point to stuff just like this. I mean, think about it. Why do competing companies all seem to make the exact same decisions at the same time? And what about that revolving door between the corporate world and government? You see board members become government officials and vice versa all the time. The biggest piece of evidence, they say, is that even though these companies act like monopolies, they almost never get hit with anti-monopoly action. It kind of makes you wonder, right?
And that idea connects directly to this next one, manufactured scarcity. The core idea here is that things like food shortages or energy crises, maybe they aren't just bad luck or a natural part of things. The theory suggests that we actually have the technology to provide these basics for everyone, but that tech is hidden or suppressed, all to create artificial shortages that help maintain economic control.
And listen, this isn't just some abstract idea. We have real-world examples. Just look at the United Fruit Company back in the day. In Central America, they called it the octopus because its arms were in everything. And when its workers tried to strike for better conditions, the company, which we now know as Chiquita, later admitted in court that it paid paramilitary death squads in Colombia. Why? Simple. To crush the labor movement and protect their profits. It's a truly chilling example of how far corporate power can go.
All right, buckle up. We're going even deeper now. We're leaving the world of human plots and corporate control behind, and we're entering the twilight zone. We're talking bizarre creatures, strange contagions. This is where things start to get really weird. So let's talk about fearsome critters. These are creatures straight out of the folklore of American lumberjacks and frontiersmen. You've got things like the hodag, a fire-breathing beast from Wisconsin,
Or the hide behind, this tall, skinny thing you can never actually see because, well, it's always hiding behind a tree, right behind you. Then there's the side hill gouger, an animal with legs longer on one side so it can only walk on hillsides. So are these just tall tales guys told around a campfire? Or maybe, just maybe, are they a kind of folk memory of something real that was out there in the woods?
Okay, so from old folklore, let's jump to some much more modern sightings. Meet the Ningen. The name literally means human in Japanese. This is a cryptid that's been reported by Japanese whale researchers down in the icy waters of Antarctica. They describe it as this massive, pale white, humanoid creature, like 20 to 30 meters long. It's so huge that sometimes they mistake it for an iceberg at first. Can you imagine?
But what if the danger isn't a creature you can see? What if the threat is an idea? That's the concept of a cognitohazard. It's basically a piece of information, an idea, a theory, even an image that can act like a virus for your mind. Just being exposed to it could cause real psychological harm, like triggering paranoia or other mental problems. A weaponized idea. And that leads us to some pretty out there theories about subtle biological control. For example, there's the claim that fluoride was used in Nazi camps and Soviet gulags to make prisoners more docile. Or the idea that certain food additives are actually mood stabilizers meant to keep the population calm. There's even a theory about something called soy spraying, covertly spraying soybean compounds from the air to alter people's hormone levels. Now, these are definitely some of the more extreme theories, but they all point to this idea of invisible mass control.
Okay, it's time for our final descent. We are going all the way down to the abyss. Here, we're moving past earthly conspiracies entirely. We're going to question the very fabric of reality itself. These are theories that don't just ask what's happening in the world, they ask what the world even is. And to do that, you kind of have to look at the big ideas, the philosophies that shape how we see everything. You've got two major worldviews clashing. On one side, the Enlightenment, progress comes from reason, liberty, individual rights. On the other, German Romanticism. Progress comes from will, from struggle, from imposing your culture's will to power on the world. This is a fundamental conflict, and it really sets the stage for some mind-bending concepts.
So let's ask a really big question. Is the sun conscious? I know, that sounds totally outlandish at first, but stick with me. This isn't just a random fantasy. The idea is actually based on some modern theories in neuroscience that connect consciousness directly to electromagnetic fields.
Okay, so here's the logic, and it's pretty stunning when you think about it. Some neuroscientists are proposing that consciousness isn't in the neurons themselves, but it is the brain's electromagnetic field. It's the fastest thing in there, way faster than any chemical signal. So, if consciousness is an EM field, now think about the sun. It has the most massive, complex, powerful electromagnetic field in our entire solar system. So, could it have a mind, a consciousness on a scale we can barely imagine, one that could literally decide when to send out a solar flare?
And now we're at the very bottom, the deepest part of the iceberg. And here we find theories about the fundamental rules of existence. One of them suggests that all of reality, physical, spiritual, everything, runs on a simple 5-part code. It's balance, growth, connection, harmonization, and love. And the idea isn't that these are just nice philosophical concepts. The theory says these are the literal, physical laws of the universe.
And if that's true, the implication is, well, it's profound. The theory suggests that because modern society isn't following these rules, we choose competition over harmonization, individualism over connection, we are, as a species, spiritually dying. We're cutting ourselves off from the basic operating system of reality.
So, that brings us to the final, ultimate idea. What if everything we've talked about isn't separate? What if Operation Paperclip, the conscious sun, the fearsome critters, what if it's all connected? What if it all adds up to one grand unified conspiracy?
And that, right there, is the ultimate question. If all of these conspiracies, all these weird, disconnected threads, if they're all interconnected, what hidden truth are they all pointing towards? What's the bigger picture we're not seeing? That's what we're left with. Thanks for diving deep with us on this explainer.